the more the merrier. We must have all heard about this phrase. Well, does it apply on opportunities as well? It does. The more opportunities you have, higher your probability of getting selected and getting posted in a government service. Now, by more opportunities, I imply that similar preparation, but a wider scope of selection. So today's session, I am going to bridge the gap between SSC CGL and IB ACIO, both exams for the 2026 scenario, and we will see that what exactly are the differences, what is the complete profile, how is the job looking like, what are the key differences, and what are also the similarities between these two examinations. So let's quickly start without wasting any time. So the first thing, the basics between the two, okay? SSC CGL in its vast options of postings offers you a majorly the job of an administrator, right? So it is a good mix of desk job and field postings, but it is still not very tiring. It's a doable thing and it's a manageable thing, well with a work-life balance. So if you look at this, a fixed schedule, mostly fixed schedules, barring a few exceptions here and there. Tax administration work majorly in zones like income tax, CBDT, okay, CBIT, statutory authority, and stable desk operations. Majorly, that is how an SSC CGL profile looks like. It's an ASO, it's an inspector. That's how you will be going through. Whereas the IB ACIO, okay, so here majorly the title can be given as an operative. So there are 24/7 threat analysis is your primary task, one of the primary tasks, but the growth is faster here. Okay, a lot of field exposure, and it is very different compared to the field exposure here. Okay, and of course high stakes intelligence are involved. Now let's go through the complete details here. What is the common starting point? It is the pay level. Pay level is 7 for both of them. At now, currently the data which has been obtained, we are getting the data as 44,900 as a basic pay, but that can variate, right? Because more frequently the 8th pay commission is going to come up, so it's going to bring a lot of changes. Anyways, now let's look at the primary differences between the two. So recruiting body is Staff Selection Commission here, SSC, whereas here it is Ministry of Home Affairs, MHA-IB. Now work nature is routine audits and desk files, okay, and these routine audits can be desk based or sometimes you can also be visiting some places. This also involves some sort of raids, etc. So this is partially field work, partially desk work, okay, and some profiles like ASOs in your ministries will be majorly desk based jobs, okay. So people who are looking for stability, who are looking for a heavy work-life balance, okay, and who want to stay in the north zone, specifically in the Delhi NCR zone, then for SSC CGL, they can target the ASO section. Otherwise, they can go for other profiles also. Whereas for IB ACIO, it is more on intel gathering and field operations, okay. So work-life balance, like I told you, majorly fixed hours, 5-day week for ASOs. But again, here, there are exceptions, like if you are a preventive officer, you may be posted at an airport or you are posted at docks, or you're an examiner. In that case, you may be working in shifts also. But that is again very, I would say 5 to 10% of the whole strength will be working in that zone. Otherwise, majorly people have fixed hours. Here the hours are not fixed, so people are working in shifts, 24/7 operations are going on. Okay, postings, as I told you, majorly stable postings, urban focus and zone-wise postings. Okay, and here it is remote and border areas also. Urban areas, remote areas, border areas, everything and anywhere. It's an all India liability. Okay, and pay scale, like I told you, strictly level 7 to level 4, because there are other options also under the SSC CGL. Okay, auditors and your tax assistants. Okay, so the levels are reducing, that is why, but this is the range. And here we are strictly talking about level 7. It's only for the IB ACIO. And there is a special allowance. We'll talk about this in detail. Now, how about the authority, the power? What exactly, how does a person who is from an SSC CGL background commands the power, and how does a person who is from the IB ACIO background commands power? So let us look at what are the differences and similarities here. So this is more like a law authority, okay. They do have additional legal authorities. So it is inspectors, especially in income tax, CGST and preventive inspectors. They hold official legal authority. They can issue summons, In some rare cases, they can also make arrests, they can make raids, right? They can conduct search, seizures, and levy penalties on people. ASOs are majorly parts of policy making. So they are key factors of policy making. So a lot of policy making in our country goes through ASOs. So ASOs will play a major part there. So they hold massive administrative influence via policy files, sanctions, and ministry approval. So this is the kind of power an SSC CGL officer holds. On the contrary, an IB ACIO, one thing which I'll tell you is they are highly covert. So their major strength lies in being hidden, in being covert as much as possible. Yes, it is not clearly documented anywhere, but they do have more depth in terms of, they have more penetration in terms of ministries, in terms of government bodies, but that is for intelligence. And apart from that, their legal powers are very limited. So they will not be able to conduct arrests, no formal arrest possible. They have to work in tandem with other police authorities. Okay, so that is how they can actually make that into a happening. So operational influence, high level access focusing on counter-terrorism, border security, and internal conflicts. So that is why they need that deep penetration into the system. Crucial distinction is IB holds no direct arrest powers. Influence is derived entirely from covert access, secrecy, and law enforcement coordination is required. So they would require their coordination with their police authorities so that arrest can be taken care of if at all it is required. Now, these are the realities. This is how it is going to look like I already told you. So this is more of a desk job, majority of it is a desk job. And here the postings can be urban, rural, mountain areas, anywhere, border, right, Naxal areas. So everything is covered ground in IB ACIO. So it's a very predictable structure basically. It is a mix of 9 to 5 desk routine, okay, and it is also, there are scheduled field actions like I told you about tax assessments, planned raids for inspectors. But here you can be posted anywhere in the territory of our country. So unpredictable, it's very unpredictable. Sometimes even if you are at a desk job, it becomes very cumbersome because of the intel analysis you have to do. It's a very, very deep, grueling task where you have to constantly look at intel which is coming and you can't skip a beat. So you have to constantly be glued to the screen. So even if it's a desk job, it's not a very comfortable or an easy job. Okay, but it is highly challenging. So if that is your mindset, I would recommend you to shift base, right? So All India Service Liability, like we already said, and regular postings to SBU units, Naxal belts and border areas, right? So basically you are handling counter-terrorism and it's more about, so a lot of people ask me, what is the difference between the research and analysis wing and the IB? Basically IB looks upon internal matters, more about internal matters. So counter-terrorism, which is required to, and internal policies. RNAW looks at the external aspect of it, the foreign aspect of it. Now, let's compare the compensation premium, right? So you can see these graphs are exactly the same for CGL and your IB ACIO in the blue shade. The yellow shade talks about the extra 20% pay, okay, which is a premium added to the IB ACIO salary. And this is apart from a 13th month compensation. So they are not paid for 12 months. They are rather paid for 13 months if they work on holidays. Okay, so this is how it looks like. This 20% is special security allowance. Okay, so this is there as a part of their salary component, and this is specifically when they are posted in very sensitive areas. Okay, apart from that, class X, class Y, class Z, I hope everybody knows about this. The TA, the DA keeps changing here. So the HRA changes here. HRA is 30% here. I think 20% here, 10% here. The numbers have changed now from 27, 18 and 9. Anyway, so class X, roughly, this is a rough calculation, tier 1 city or class X city like Delhi or Mumbai. And an SSC officer roughly earns in the range of 72 to 78K, I would say gross. And an IB officer would earn roughly around 10,000 more, okay, gross. So 82 to 88. A class Y city like Lucknow, Patna, SSC officer 65 to 70, IB 75 to 80, and a class Z city like in rural areas, okay, or tier 3 areas, SSC will earn 60 to 64 and IB will earn 70 to 74. So there is a rough difference of 10 to 12,000 in their salaries. Again, these are gross salaries and these are not exact numbers. Hence, I am giving you the ranges. But the IB ACIO will be slightly ahead because of two key components, the 20% the special security allowance and the 13th month allowance, which is an additional pay which is given to them for the risk which they take, right? Now, this is how the future looks like, the promotion graph. Okay, if you compare both of them, promotions in the Intelligence Bureau are faster. Okay, but then there is a difference also. I'll show that to you. Okay, promotions in SSC CGL are comparatively slower, but that also depends, varies from department to department. Also, it depends a lot upon cadre restructuring and cadre review. So often what happens is, for example, if I give you the example of GST, if you look at the accurate structure, GST still lacks a lot of officers. So there is a huge requirement of officers at various levels which needs to be fulfilled. And that is why even if you see today when the vacancies come up, the GST inspectors are pretty high. But despite that, they are not able to cover the actual requirement of the department. So there is a lot involved here. The revenue, etc. is also there. So time and again, what they keep on doing is they keep on cadre restructuring. So there is a complete cadre restructure. There is a review, and then they generate some new seats which are majorly filled by officers internally. And how is that happening? By promotions. So there will be very sudden, very fast promotions will be coming up somewhere in the middle. And this often happens in a lot of departments. But then that is subject to availability, right? So this is how an SSC CGL pathway looks like. They will start at level 7 as either an assistant section officer or an inspector at entry level. Then within the period of 6 to 9 years roughly, with some departmental exams, and otherwise they will be promoted to a section officer. If it's an ASO, it will be promoted to an SO. And otherwise, if it's an inspector, they'll be promoted to a superintendent. And at this point, they will become a gazetted officer. Okay, Group B gazetted officer after 6 to 9 years roughly. But it changes. It keeps on changing for people. And from here, after 14 to 18 years, so this is their major section where they are working. Okay, 14 to 18 years later, a section officer becomes an undersecretary and a superintendent graduates to an assistant commissioner. This is where they enter the Group A cadre, which is the UPSC cadre. This is where they enter it, assistant commissioner. Okay, so the IAS, IRS, all these cadres are entering here. That is where they are starting, and an SSC CGL aspirant will be climbing like this. So roughly after this much time, after 20 to 27 years later, the person will reach here. Majority of the people who have joined at a very later stage of their age, somewhere around 28, 29, 30, they will end their careers at this position. So they will see 2 promotions, 3 posts majorly, unless there is a cadre restructuring which can push this quickly or this quickly, depends, right? If a student joins at a very early age, 21, 22, 23, okay, in that range, then the probability of them being promoted to the next level increases, where they will become a deputy secretary in case they joined as an ASO, or a deputy commissioner, right? And this is your last position. No matter in any special case, they will never be able to cross this line, right? A UPSC officer goes further: deputy commissioner, joint commissioner, additional commissioner, commissioner, principal commissioner, chief commissioner, right? So they keep on going forward. But for a CGL entrant, it's going to stop here. On the contrary, if I compare with an IB ACIO, if you see here, there are 4 units. There also there are 4 units, but there is a high chance for a person to reach the 4th unit here. There is a slightly lower chance for a person to reach the 4th unit here. And look at the gaps. Okay, within 3 to 5 years, a person from level 7 ACIO grade 2 executive will come to ACIO grade 1. He is inspector equivalent, but this inspector is a police inspector equivalent. Okay, so within 3 to 5 years, this will happen. There will be a change in salary, but group level is somewhat similar only, and they are not yet gazetted. So there is a post. In short, for IB ACIO, there is a posting in between somewhere at this level. So not 6 to 9 years, in 3 to 5 years only, they'll be posted a level above, and then this will take place for them. So 7 to 10 years later, they will now come at a gazetted post at a deputy SP level. Okay, this is known as a DCIO, Deputy Central Intelligence Officer. And then 15 plus years later, they'll become an assistant director at the SP level. Mostly they will be retiring at this stage in the ACIO, right? So that is how the future looks like for these 2 jobs, right? Now let's talk about the similarities. We have already spoken about the key differences, the job profile, the salaries, okay, the power structures. Let's focus on what are the similarities between the 2 in terms of preparation, okay? So the best thing is that Tier 1, the level 1 exam of both these papers, 80% of syllabus is common, okay? And what am I talking about? I'm talking about the arithmetic section of quant, basic reasoning, and general English. they are almost the same. So the core component is the same for your preparation. So when you start preparing, what you need to do is, you prepare not for SSC, you prepare not for IB ACIO, you prepare for a general competitive examination overview. And how do you do that? So when you start preparing, your conceptualization itself will be slightly more deeper. And what you will be doing is, you will be additionally practicing mixed questions for both of them. So you'll get a better hand on both of them. Now, what are the specializations? For SSC, as a differentiator, it specifically focuses on advanced maths. So in the quant section, they also have advanced maths, geometry, coordinate geometry, trigonometry, etc. and mensuration. And they have a heavy focus on static GK. On the contrary, in IB ACIO, their primary focus is on current affairs related to your national security. Okay. So defense, geopolitics, current affairs, and descriptive English at tier 2 level. So these are the differentiators, and this is the common ground. So 80% is common, and 20% variation you will prepare once you're done with this, based on what exam is coming forward. Right? So despite the job profiles are poles apart, the preparation is almost similar. So this is why I started with the fact that the more the merrier. That means with a single preparation and slight tweaking, you can actually open up the gateways for more opportunities towards a government job. Now, how the syllabus divergence will help you. So this SSC CGL, like I told you, the broad net focuses heavily on static GK, polity articles, history, dates, scientific facts, whereas the targeted lens heavily oriented towards recent events, national security affairs, defense and global geopolitics. Current affairs are here also, but they are very common. But here they are more focused on geopolitics, your foreign policy, national security, etc. And here for quant, it demands deep preparation in advanced maths, geometry, mensuration, trigonometry, algebra. Whereas here it concentrates heavily on the arithmetic, logical word problems, data interpretation. So quant is not very heavily required here. Yes, arithmetics are important, but they are judging you more on how aware are you about the things going around you which pertain to IB ACIO, which pertain to intelligence, which pertain to our country. And here they are more on the theoretical aspect of it, right? Now for the tier 2, so for tier 2 it's entirely different. Once upon a time, SSC CGL also used to have a tier 3. Tier 3 used to be a descriptive exam, but now they have discontinued that. We also used to have an interview once upon a time, but that has also been discontinued. But they still work on a descriptive test. So for an SSC CGL aspirant, there is another objective exam at tier 2 level, which focuses on all the same subjects and additionally also focuses on computers. And again, there are statistics and exams of finances and economics also, depends on the post you have chosen. Whereas here, it is completely tier 2 descriptive English. So there will be an essay writing, a Prezi understanding, okay, of 30 marks and 20 marks respectively, which will be again relating to the same topics of geopolitics and national security, which you will have to write down, and this will assess you as an officer at tier 2 level. So this is a different skill set which you will have to practice for. So once you're done with your tier 1, don't wait for tier 1 to get over and the results to come up. So your preparation phase needs to align with both these aspects. This is taken care of in the tier 1 preparation only. For this one, you will have to give in special input. So parallel preparation has to go on, right? And this is how you can, finally cover everything. So just as a gist, as a conclusion, I'm trying to tell you, your primary job is to master the core, so that 80% common syllabus should be absolutely there with you. And like I told you, it should have both parallel components. So when you practice, don't practice just CGL questions. Don't practice just IB ACIO questions. Why? Because, for example, a reasoning topic has blood relations, right? Blood relations is common in both the topics, both the exams. But the way the questions are put across is quite different in a CGL exam and quite different in the perspective of IB ACIO. So your exposure should be to both the types of questions while you're preparing for the core, right? And then you will choose your specialization. So for majority of the students, their primary goal is SSC CGL. So once you're done with the core, now your focus should shift on the extra part or the unique part of SSC CGL. And once you master that, shift to IB ACIO. So that is your preference order. And then when you near an exam, supposedly both the exams are not going to be conducted nearby. So there will be some gap in between. So supposedly you're nearing an SSC exam right now. So now your focus is diverging towards SSC. And then when you're done with it, you're shifting towards IB ACIO. So that is how you can manage. So that is how, we are working smartly these days, a lot of aspirants, because they want to increase their chances of selection into a government service. So this is how it is. And of course, the descriptive edge needs to be developed much before the actual tier 2 happens, because this needs extra practice and focus. So this is something which you can dedicate, let's say, an hour of every day while you are preparing for the core itself, right? So that's the complete idea of SSC CGL, especially targeting 2026, and IB ACIO again targeting 2026. So this opens up new gateways, like I told you. Hopefully you understood and you benefited from this session. If you did, hit the like button right away and share this video with somebody who is actually looking for a common preparation ground for both these examinations. If you're new on the platform, hit the subscribe button right away. I'll see you around in the new topic video again with a deeper discussion to understand the various aspects of other examinations. Till then, you guys take care. Bye-bye. Namaskar. Jai Hind.